Welcome back to The Verse. My name is Nathan Smith, and on this episode, I interview and collaborate with a fellow music ed major and podcaster, Max Gibson. Max is an extremely talented trumpet player with an incredible jazz vocabulary. I hope you enjoy. Wherever you are watching or listening, make sure to subscribe for more. Welcome back to The Verse. My name is Nathan Smith, and today I have a very special guest, my friend Max Gibson. Max, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm glad to have you here. It's a little bit late at night here at CCM, but I'm ready to talk about music a little bit and perform with you later on. Sound good?
Yeah, man.
Awesome. So just off the bat, I'd love to hear a little bit about your new podcast, which I'm hearing is coming out soon. So would you like to tell us just a little bit about it since you're here on my podcast now?
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a bit. I guess it might actually happen, though. A new podcast called Man vs. Podcast, where people come onto my show, but they interview me. It's a reverse podcast. So Nate might be on it. Actually, very likely he'll be on it. If it actually is a thing. But he's going to come on and interview me. And it's going to be awesome and good and cool, and I'm going to like it.
I'm looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. And maybe we'll call that the reverse, as we talked about.
Man versus Podcast. What a good name.
That's such a good name. I should have named the verse that.
Yeah, you should have named it that. Why'd you name it the verse? Why not? I don't know, something else.
You know,
I'm interviewing you now. This is Man versus Podcast.
Hey, I mean that's okay for me now that I'm with another podcaster. You know, I named it the verse because I wanted to kind of play it off some musical terms that kind of relate to my instrument, which is voice is my primary instrument.
Instrument.
And, I mean, you know what I mean. Voice. The voice is an instrument, I would say. And
so true.
So being my primary area of study in music, I figured I wanted to kind of take a name and play off of that. And every song with vocals has some verses in it. And I just thought, what about the verse? And it just stuck. Yeah. And that's why I stuck with the verse.
Cool. I like it.
I'm glad you enjoy it, man.
Yeah, I like your intro too. It's a great song.
Appreciate it. Nice. Maybe we'll hear you on this intro.
Maybe. Okay, sure. I'll do it.
All right, that sounds good to me. So, you know, talking about your past in music, tell me first what's your major and how did you get here at CCM?
So I'm a music education major with a focus in jazz. I really did not play jazz at all before I came here. I mean, I was in like jazz band at school and did a few other things, but I never really started to play the style or listen to it until I got here. The reason I applied for like a jazz focus was because I really wanted to study with Dr. Scott Belk, who's a great player, great teacher, and I knew I would learn a lot from him. So that's why I applied to CCM, and that's why I applied with a jazz focus.
Nice. So what led you to pursue music in your past?
It's just something that I couldn't really see myself doing anything else. I mean, I did a bunch of other stuff in high school, but I didn't enjoy anything as much as music, and I thought that if I went into something else, I'd probably be bored out of my mind and hate my job. And if I went into music, I wouldn't have to work a day in my life because it wouldn't be a job. It wouldn't be a chore.
Mm-hmm. It just seems like something you're so passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's great that you were able to follow your passion here to a great conservatory with such a great jazz program, too.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned with your major being music ed, what made you want to be a music teacher, if that is what your end goal as a career is?
So I've had a tiny bit of teaching experience, and that was really, really rewarding. I taught like sectionals and did like the brass stuff for the music settlement summer camps and stuff like that in Cleveland. And that was really rewarding. That was like my first teaching experience and doing like sectionals and stuff at school. I also, during my sophomore year of high school, through the sophomore service program at St. Ignatius, was able to teach second graders reading, and that was also really rewarding. So I thought, why not teach something? And I was like, what could I teach? And I'm like, I like music. So that's why I'm here.
And there you go. So you're pursuing multiple passions. So that's amazing to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you want to accomplish as a teacher? What are some of your goals that you have?
So some of my goals. I really don't care about having the best best concert band, best program, in terms of competitions and stuff like that. What matters to me is that the students are having fun, they're learning, and they're getting better. Yeah.
That's all you can ask for, because personally, I see this a little bit in what you've said and what we've talked about in the past, is really just kind of inspiring students to do what they love.
Yeah.
And just encouraging their, I'll say it again, their passions to finally come to fruition in front of other people. So
we're going to strive to get the best scores we can at competitions.
Of course.
But that's not the most important thing in music.
Mm-hmm. That's not all that matters, because music isn't always just exact. Especially with jazz, it can be really out there. It can be all over the place.
Providing an objective score to something so subjective is kind of strange in my opinion, but it's not my place to say that. I'm gonna have to do it if I'm gonna be a music teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, yeah, I completely understand that. Yeah, like we said, it's not everything, but it's definitely something that is rewarding when you see that really good score at OMEA, which is our conferences or our competitions here in Ohio. But again, it's not the only thing that matters. What matters the most is making sure our students are having fun. So that's amazing to hear from you. So where do you see yourself after graduation? And then after that, I know this is a long way from now, but where do you see yourself in 10 years?
After graduation, I see myself, I want to teach high school band and high school jazz band. That's basically where I see myself for the rest of my life, being a band director in a school district, putting time into a program to try to grow, and if it's not already well established, create and grow a program.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And just wanting to do that for your whole career is just showing how dedicated you are to really wanting to educate and inspire your students. That's just amazing to hear. And you know what? I'd love to hear a solo if you want to play a little something on trumpet for me.
All right.
So what would you like to play if you want to introduce the piece a little bit?
All right. I'll be playing Billy's Bounce by Charlie Parker. I'll be playing the head and playing a few choruses with a backing track. We'll see what it sounds like.
All right. I'm looking forward to hearing that, and we'll see you guys here in just a bit. That was just phenomenal, Max. That was such a fantastic song, and I really enjoyed hearing that. So thank you for sending your video in so all of our audience, not quite the biggest audience yet, but we could really hear that and enjoy it. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you're able to come on and talk a little bit with me, play a little bit. So talking just a little bit more about jazz, how has this passion for jazz started and evolved to where it is now?
So when I got here, I really, like I said before, I really had no idea how to play jazz. I'm still learning. I've learned a ton this semester, but I still have a long way to go. But I feel like jazz is more of a collaborative music than a lot of other kinds of music, a lot like classical music and other stuff like that. You just kind of play what's on the page, and that's cool. But I really like the collaborative and creative aspect of jazz, where you can create something unique at, at any time. You can play a tune once and then play it again in 5 minutes, and it'll be completely different. And you have a lot of creative liberty, obviously, with taking solos and composing your own stuff on the spot. That's what's really cool about jazz, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you were able to say that, just because what we just heard with your solo piece is definitely different from maybe what you would play if you were to play it tomorrow or the next day or later on in the future. It's always changing and always amazing in its own way. So that's great to hear from you. So who are some of your favorite musicians, maybe of all time, or maybe that you're listening to today?
Okay. I have a lot. I mean, let me try to remember. So some of my favorite trumpet players: Chet Baker. I love Chet Baker. Blue Mitchell. Recently, a few of my friends and I have gotten into Benny Benek, the third. He's a trumpet player in New York, and Tony Glauci also. I love Sean Jones. I love great lead players like Wayne Bergeron. I like Wayne Bergeron. I have so many influences. I listen to a ton now. That's what I do pretty much all day is listen to jazz, listen to trumpet. Bobby Shue. I could go on and on and on.
Yeah, just from what I've heard from you, with all the jazz music you listen to, it's so intricate, and it really helps you progress to where you are. Because I know you've transcribed a lot of these solos, and given it your own twist for maybe some of your own improvisational solos. Do you want to maybe talk about that a little bit?
So the best way to learn, the thing that's worked the best for me so far in learning jazz is taking stuff from the greats, transcribing solos, using the licks and stuff in the solos in your own language and trying to incorporate them into your playing. Nobody does it better than the masters, so try to learn from them. There's some good stuff in all their solos, obviously, and that's what I try to do is use that stuff.
Great. That's really cool to hear, because I mean, like you said, there's nothing better than the best, so it might as well check those guys out and see what they can play, and try to implement some cool techniques or cool little licks or riffs or anything into your own playing. And just from what I've heard from you, I'll say it again, it sounds really amazing. So
thank you.
So what are some opportunities that have come to you by choosing CCM?
So I get to play with a ton of different people. There's always some like jam going on, and we can just like do an impromptu jam session where we all just like go down to the basement of CCM, socially distanced, of course, in the big rooms, and play some music. We can have different instrumentation every day, and being able to play with these people and get better with all the people in my degree program has really, really helped me. It's really been a lot of fun to do, and I think that's the place I learn the most is when I'm actually on the bandstand. There's not really any bandstand during COVID, but and also playing in the jazz combos, taking jazz improv, playing in the jazz lab band. All of those have been really helpful and a lot of fun.
It seems like there's just so many opportunities. The opportunities are endless for the jazz majors, and really for just about any of the majors here at CCM. And that's something that I've come to realize is just such a fantastic thing about this school. So just talking about COVID a little bit, I know you started to mention it. How has the pandemic impacted your music?
So for the entire summer, and a little bit of last school year too, I wasn't able to play with anybody. So I feel like that really halted my progress in terms of jazz. I mean, I would practice every day and get better at like the technical and side of the trumpet, but like playing music, I didn't get to play music with other people, and I feel like that really put a halt on my progress as a jazz musician. Since coming to school, though, I've been able to play with a bunch of people, and that's really how I think I'm getting better, is by obviously listening and transcribing and working out some stuff to play over changes, but also playing with those people and learning from them.
Yeah. Like you've mentioned in the past, just learning how to collaborate and just through collaboration is such a great way of improving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing to hear when it all comes together, because I know I've interviewed a lot of jazz majors here on the show, and it's great to hear them all play together. Like I know I've heard you play with some of these amazing percussionists or with keyboardists or just really any combination of instrument. It's amazing to hear it all come together. So after the pandemic, where do you see yourself in terms of your musical abilities?
After the pandemic, I'm going to just try to play with as many people as possible. I'm going to try to put myself out there, maybe try to get some gigs, and play with it. Yeah, like play with as many people as possible. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
I mean, that sounds like the dream to me, just playing more music with people who share similar interests to you just sounds amazing. So talking about gigs, since you're planning on getting a ton more gigs now that COVID is slowing down, and hopefully when everybody's vaccinated and it's a safe place to play, tell me about a little bit of maybe a funny or interesting gig story that you have from your past.
My first gig ever was at a church for Easter. And they were paying me a substantial amount. But I didn't have my own transportation. I was a sophomore in high school. Didn't have my own transportation. I showed up to the first rehearsal about half an hour late because I forgot about it. And then I walk in and I realize I forgot to print out the music and bring it. So I walk in there and they're paying me to be at this rehearsal, but I walk in there late without any music, and I just sit there and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't have music." So they had to print it out for me. They still paid me, but it's just why did I not print out the music, and why was I so late? That was the first gig I ever did.
It's good to see you progress from that, though. So, one question that I like to ask all my guests at the end of every episode: what do you want your legacy to be?
I have no idea.
It's
clue.
A bit of a deep question. It really makes you think, and that's why.
What about my legacy from CCM or my legacy for my entire life?
Anything. I'll leave that up to you.
I'm not really sure yet. I'm very young. I plan on being a band director and hopefully starting and growing my program. And I guess I want that to be my legacy. I want to play gigs and stuff on the weekends and as like a side thing, but that's really where my focus is, I feel like.
Yeah.
I want that to be my legacy.
That is great to hear. Just like you've talked about building and growing a band program, and that's just really inspiring. As another music ed major, I kind of look up to seeing that ability that you have and that interest, and as music educators, that's all we hope for. So that's really amazing to hear from you.
Thank you.
So Max, thanks so much for coming on The Verse. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a good time talking about music, and I'm looking forward to playing with you. So
it's gonna be fun.
Absolutely it is. I'm going to wrap this one up with "It's Been a Long, Long Time." We'll see you guys next time.